One, I want to talk about, obviously, I know you guys have heard, I think this happened maybe 5 days ago now, about the New Jersey student who was forced to cut his braids off and right as he started his match, which just, to me, I don't want to be too dramatic with it, you know, and kind of, but it really rubbed me the wrong way because I know my history, and just the spectacle of the whole thing really rubbed me the wrong way. Him being in front of everyone and just having his hair cut, humiliated, in front of all his peers, in addition to the world, you know. And that really bothered me. The more I look at it, the more it just mirrors things that bothers me, you know. Mirrors, you know, spectacle. You know, honestly, when I think of it, and I don't mean to be extreme, but whatever, you know, when I saw that, and nothing near it, but definitely just the first thing that popped in my head was, you know, the photos that you see of like public lynchings and everyone just kind of watching as this guy, this kid is humiliated, you know, in front of his friends and his teammates and other teams.
Tonight, the family of a New Jersey high school wrestler is speaking out about what they call the shocking pre-match ultimatum. In a statement, the family of Andrew Johnson expressed gratitude for the overwhelming show of support for their son, arguing that he was under duress and visibly shaken after a referee gave him 90 seconds to either forfeit his match or cut his hair. The Johnson family's attorney now saying the ref, Alan Maloney, showed up late to the match, and when he did evaluate Andrew, he failed to raise any issues with the length of his hair or the need to wear a head covering. Johnson won, but that hasn't stopped the angry outpouring on social media. Chance the Rapper labeling the incident bogus, and Olympic wrestler Jordan Burroughs saying it's sickening.
In high school, as you're growing and you're developing, you're establishing who you are, you're creating an identity, I know as a young black man how much my hair meant to me.
New Jersey sports officials say they've opened a civil rights investigation and have sidelined Maloney. A New Jersey paper reported that in 2016 he called a fellow ref a racial slur. Maloney later apologized and has not responded to our requests for comment. Now his latest call, leaving a community to wrestle with controversy.
It's not a race thing, it's a rule thing. You know, Jerry, if it happened to be a rule thing, why is this the first time they brought it up? This kid has been going throughout his entire semester wrestling, and no one has brought it up. And all of a sudden, this guy brings it up, who has a past. I mean, if anything, what could you say? Okay, next time you can't come, or you know, if your hair is this long, the next time we have a wrestling match, then maybe so. I guess at the beginning of every wrestling match, they have this I guess where the referee goes in and checks each wrestler to make sure everything is good, that they're within regulation to wrestle. That happens when they come out to get ready to wrestle. And if that was the case, it would have happened then. This has been the entire argument on the news, every clip that I've seen, that he had already been checked out and was good to go. Yeah, and it's understandable. I had to cut my hair when I wrestle. Actually, they do that. Actually, they do what? I'm not sure what you're referring to, but this is what they're saying. The kid had already wrestled the longest time, and no one had ever brought it up as an issue. That day, he had already been checked out by that referee and was good to go. Was okay to wrestle. So all of a sudden now this guy, for whatever reason, right before his match, he decides to give this kid an ultimatum. Like, what, you know, it's weird. In my head, I remember, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, if I was him, I would have I would have just said fuck it and not wrestled and just went against the grain because it's my hair and because of what I stood for. And then I started thinking, like, this is probably my disposition at 40. I remember when I was 16 years old and I was growing my hair out. Now I can't. But when I was 16, I was growing my hair. I was getting in a lot of trouble. And my hair was my everything. I was growing it out. I had cornrows. And I remember I was getting in trouble. I just got kicked out of school district for having a gun. And I don't know, my father was just sick and tired. I remember one morning I was even as a kid, when my hair first started growing, I couldn't use a razor because I would get like razor bumps bad because my skin overhealed. So I always had to use clippers. And so I remember one morning I was using clippers and I was getting ready to go to this continuation school that they had me going to. And I remember my father was like, let me see your clippers. And he acted like he was just like he was examining them. And then he just quickly pushed the clippers against my head and just like cut a large piece of hair out of my head and said, cut your hair. And I remember being so heartbroken by that. And I'm 16. At 16, I didn't look this good with a bald head. I looked like a weirdo. I barely had hair. Like, I looked like a weirdo. For one, I wasn't used to it. And, secondly, like, no, it wasn't a hairstyle, you know what I mean, at that time. So it was heartbreaking. It was my identity. It meant something. People knew who I was because of that. With this kid, I'm sure the same. Like he's he's a black kid that wrestles. The majority of black kids that wrestle, for the most part, it's probably like one or two are the only black person on the team. So his hair probably had a whole lot to do with his identity, which every kid, whether you black, white, or whatever, you look at their hairstyles, it really represents who they are and who they feel that what they feel that they stand for as, as a teenager, as a kid, you know what I mean? They're expressing themselves through their hair, through their haircuts, and all and things like that. And I could just imagine how devastating it was for him to have to wrestle with it. And you see the end of the video when the referee lifts the kid's hand up, and he just don't even want to touch the ref's hand, and he goes off, and it's devastating. It's demoralizing, and I really feel for the kid, and I'm pretty sure, if I was 16 now and I had a lot riding on wrestling, he's 16, so he's probably a junior. Like, he's thinking about college, what college he's gonna go to. That's probably dictated by his record. So, losing a match isn't an option. Walking off a match isn't an option for him because, as we know, as teenagers, we think single incidents can revolutionize the rest of your world. We make them so big as children, which they're not, but at that age, we think they are. And so we take that into consideration. Like, he was willing to do it. And I don't even know why they couldn't just take him in the back in the locker room and do it. They just did it right there in plain sight, in front of everyone. It was crazy, And yeah, I do think it's a racial issue. I think it has something to do with race. Rather, it was the having some leniency on it, saying, you know what? I don't want to see you out here with the hair no more. These are the rules. I'm going to let it slide this time because I already checked you out. Or it's just overtly, I just don't like niggas. The referee had been accused, and he apologized for calling another referee a nigga at I guess some referee officials event in 2016. So it's there. It's there. You can't deny that it's there. It's public record that it's there. You know what I mean? And guess what? When you squeeze orange juice comes out. Not apple juice, Not mango juice, orange juice, period. So if he get in a heated conversation with somebody and racial epithets come out, guess what? That's what's in him. And so he has a certain disposition about a certain group of people. And whether you like to hear it or not, whether you want to accept it or not, it doesn't matter. How you feel doesn't change the truth and the reality, period. And a lot of times, this is what happened in systemic racism. People use their authority to push forward their own agendas. Because I feel this certain way about people, I'm going to treat him like this. Where I may give another kid a pass, get it done, but I'm going to let this ride because you've been doing it all this time and I've already checked you out. No leniency. So, you know, I don't know what to say. That it just is what it is. It's the reality of it. And if you don't think that, you're blind. And it's not even that you're blind. It's that you don't recognize it because it doesn't happen to you. You only anyone that says that, you know, racism isn't an issue or don't see it, you know, whatever, you know, are only looking through their own experiences, period, point blank. If you look through your own experiences, if you're fortunately being a white person in America, you don't have to deal with it. I remember at one point during the riots in 1992, Bush said, I didn't know that there was still racism in America, which was amazing for him to say that in 92. But, you know, if you're not around it and you don't have many black friends and you don't want to see it, you don't see it. You know what I mean? I'm forced to see it because I'm black. I'm forced to have to deal with it, whether overtly or under the rug. You know what I mean? Systemic racism exists, and racism in itself exists. You know, it doesn't control my life. It doesn't dictate my life. I don't allow it to, but it's there. And just because I can navigate around it and I can deal with it and I can address it, doesn't mean that I need to act like it doesn't exist. And because I know how to deal with it, that other people don't experience it. That there's, whatever. I know how to, I can deal with it where, it just, I'm going to talk about it, but it won't stop nothing.